consent for us was one of those things that was little by little, then all at once. There was 100 times where it felt like it was all too much and it wasn't going to happen. We got consent on that build up there. It only took us a year. That is a long time.
I don't think Geotech is something to freak out about. No, I think it's just important you do your homework.
Hey, I'm Josh, a builder here in New Zealand, and let me introduce you to that build up there. Previously, we went unconditional on the site. We discussed the intricacies of our floor plan, and we talked about the iterations we went through to settle on our final design. Before any action happens on site, you need something far more important than timber and nails. You need a building consent. And in this video here, we will take you through the consent process. Coming up, we'll break down how the system actually works. I'll give you my tips on how to streamline it. And stick around to the end of the video where I'll explain how this turned into the biggest delay we've faced on site so far. But first, I think getting consent is one of the biggest milestones in your project. Why is consent so important? Let me grab something. This is my Lego concrete mixer. I love Lego, it's so much fun. Do you know what I love about Lego? I love that it comes with an instruction booklet letting me know how to put this together. So if this is your finished house, consent is your instruction manual on going from a pile of pieces in bags to a finished model. Guess what? Nicole's back. Hey babe.
Hi.
We were just talking to them about consent and why consent is so important.
Yeah, well, I think before you get consent, you just have a bunch of pieces. So you've got engineering, geotech, architect's drawings, and then the land itself. And then you as people, like your feelings about when you want to start and if it's going to happen, and then your money. So all those pieces need to come together.
So it's like a recipe.
Yeah.
You would use the analogy of a recipe.
Yeah,
Whereas
so it all comes together and all in one big mixing bowl, and then time to put it in the oven and off it goes.
And so for Nicole and I, we love to celebrate milestones, and consent was a massive milestone, eh?
It was a massive one.
I had a few times where I was like, we're crazy, they're going to say no.
Well, I think because it had been owned by so many people and it had been there for so long, it was like we were just waiting for someone to be like, no, and this is why. Council giving us consent was like nobody's going to stop us now.
Yeah, nobody's going to stop us, but we have a very complicated set of instructions to follow.
I know, I think it's 67 pages.
That's one set, and then there's another 33 pages of engineering drawings, which is maybe not a lot for you, but for us and the houses we normally build, the plans are probably 2 or 3 times more complicated.
It's a lot of printing.
It's a lot of reading. Guys, thanks so much. We've cracked it. We hit 100K. Holy moly, when I first started my channel, I thought that would be an impossible task. And I always dreamed of holding that YouTube plaque. Insert one here, it's getting sent. So I just want to say thanks, but to the other 75% of you watching this that haven't subbed, hurry up, join the club, you're gonna miss out. So how does the consenting process actually work? The building consent allows the owner or the owner's agent to carry out the building work in accordance with the plans and specifications approved by the Building Consent Authority. At a high level, the government sets a standard for the country, that's called the building code, and the standard is a guideline for how things should perform and how they should be built. Not only do you need to make sure that your plans are following the building code, but the builder you're using will follow 3604, basically the building rules in New Zealand. Councils grant building consent applications when they are confident your proposed work will meet the requirements of the building code. New Zealand is chopped up into a bunch of local authorities, also called councils. There's a super council in Auckland that's gobbled up 5 of them. However, in the Wellington region, there's 5 individual councils that all have their own building department. They all have their own way of doing things. Each one of those councils or local building authorities is in charge of making sure that all of the building work in their area is completed to the New Zealand standards. Now that we've overviewed the whole system, we can talk about the process that your local council will take. And it's important to note that my local council here, Upper Hutt, is super friendly and approachable, and most likely your local council is too. So don't be afraid to pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, or please explain this, or help me get my head around this. Their job is to work for you, and they have a bunch of boxes they need to tick, but they care about the people. At least that's my experience. And so if you understand the boxes they're trying to tick, you can help them help you. That's what any good council does, right? So super high level review, we will create plans, we will submit plans, the council will review the plans and make sure that they follow the code. Then they will do what's called an RFI, a request for information, if they don't believe your plans are following the code or they need clarification on certain parts. Once you've responded to RFIs, they will consent the plans. Then you will amend the plans based on the RFIs, and then all going to plan, they will stamp the plans and say, approved, you are now allowed to build. And that is such a sweet moment. For all the governments going on about streamlining the process, honestly, from a builder on the ground's point of view, it is getting harder and harder. Why is that? Well, not only is it getting harder to create a plan to submit, but there's more and more pressure on the council to have less and less liability. So they're getting stricter about the details they want in the plans, about the exact product you're using. They need more intense information so that they push the liability back here. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I'm going to stay neutral on that and let people way smarter than me make that decision. All I know is that as a builder on the ground, I can't start building until I get a consented set of plans. I just want to follow the plans because I don't want to take that liability on either. So I want the plans done right and I want them done fast, but then the council wants lots of information and the poor designer is stuck in the middle with a builder breathing down their throat saying, hey, when can I start my job? And the council saying, we need more information. Consent for us was one of those things that was little by little, then all at once. When you're going through that process, you have to be super proactive about talking to the designer, talking to the engineer. They give you a bunch of questions and we had to be real purposeful about making time to answer them, eh?
Yeah, like we had to know exactly what fire we were putting in and exactly what hot water cylinder. And I was just like, I can't even think about that right now. I don't know. I have to go look at them. So we're at the fireplace shop on a Sunday picking a fireplace for a build that might not even happen.
The most common practice is that you would engage your designer or architect that created the concept to start your consented set of drawings. So for me, that decision was easy. Obviously, I'm going to use Prime Designs, and a sweet young lady, Shawnee, was assigned to my job, and it was a pleasure to work with Shawnee on the detailed part. A number of important but complex questions were broken down at the consent drawing phase. I really loved how thorough and in-depth she was, and I really loved that she thought about the layers of the build and whether we do the footing this way and whether we do the slab first. Thank you very much, Shawnee. So in the end, from woe to go, consent took me 13 months. 13 months seems like a long time, but when you're building a house that's hopefully going to be there for 100 years plus, it's worth taking the time to plan it out properly. We still had a really complicated set of engineering drawings that needed to be threaded into a really complicated set of building drawings. And the thing to remember here is that no one can do their job in one hit. It's not like boom, it's gone here, tick, boom, it's gone here, tick, it's ready to go in. It's like going round in a circle. It starts with a concept, and then the concept gets put out to the Geotech, and then the Geotech does his thing, and then it goes back to the designers and they do a structural set, and then the structural set gets put in front of the structural engineer, and then it goes back to the designer or the client or the builder for review, and we go around that circle a few times. You know, the moment it leaves this person's desk, if this person's not ready, there's a lag in time. It wasn't 12 months worth of work day in, day out, but it was 12 months to go round and round that process until we had a set of plans ready to go. If you're loving these videos but you want to know more and specifically want stuff that's going to help you with your building project, jump on our mailing list below. We would love to send you some extra information. You will need a Geotech report to start. That could be as easy as basic pentrometer tests in the corners of the building, or as intense as holes drilled, soil types taken, liquefaction or slope stability reports written. It all depends on your site. For that build up there, we needed a slope stability assessment report. We used Nathan at Cohesive Engineering because he's helped us on a number of jobs already, including the one on the hill up in the top of Upper Hutt and a number of other sites we're working on.
In Upper Hutt, there is slope stability risk zones. This house was very well positioned. If we do have sloping sites, it's essentially just taking your proposed design and making it work from a stability perspective, so doing slope stability analysis.
Once we've got a Geotech report in place, you also need to start developing a specification list. All the materials you intend to use. This sounds really scary, but this is why you involve your builder early, because they will have a bunch of recommendations about what materials to use and what materials not to use. And if they are the man or woman putting those materials together on site, you need their input on specifications early. Specifications include things like cladding types, roofing types, joinery, stud height, windows, like all of your desired outcomes that are going to make your build look and feel amazing. But don't fret, if you're doing this for the first time, you don't have to have that list ready right off the bat. A professional builder, designer, or architect will have an example specification ready to work through with you. Hey, so I know you watch to the end of every video, so you're part of the sign-off squad, but is there anything you want to say to the sign-off squad about consent?
I think it's trusting your team that if I put in this consent, will it probably go through?
I'll build on that the request for information or the things you need to sort out gets smaller. And so it turns from a list of 100 items you need to think about, and then they come back with 15 questions, and then you answer 15 of those and they ask you 5 more questions. But if the list of things to do to get consent is getting smaller, you're on the right track. And that's the same with any project you're taking on.